Often when we're stuck in a story, the story of I always fail, or the story of I always get rejected, or when we're stuck in a role, the role of I have to be there for other people, or the role of I can't write this weekend because I should really be spending time with my family, we're not able to put our writing first, and it becomes a vicious cycle that we think that we don't have any way out of because we're then playing the victim. So we're essentially just making a little shift so that the brain is viewing the world in a different way. And often it means that we start looking for possibility rather than accepting the fact that this is just how it's always been. As writers, you're going to be familiar with story. You're going to be familiar with books that you love, that you may have read and reread. And I have some favourite novels and some favourite short stories that I will read over and over. One thing that I notice is that each time I read it, there's a part of me that hopes it's going to turn out differently. Which is pretty crazy, right? Because the story's written down. It's in type on the page. It's not going to change. And so that's what happens when we start telling stories about ourselves and about what we're capable of and about what we can do and what we can't do. As long as we keep telling those stories, they're going to have the same ending. What we do is we take a story that we're telling that doesn't have a positive effect on us, and we start to look at it differently. So then I looked at the story when I started to learn about these amazing mindset techniques, and I thought, okay, how can I tell this story from a different perspective? How can this story be the most incredible story for me? And I thought to myself, if this is the most incredible story, then what it's saying to me is that I'm unique. What it's saying to me is that I'm different and that I can trust that I'm not just going to follow the crowd, but I'm going to follow my own inner instinct. And so suddenly that became a really wonderful thing. As somebody who's a writer, as somebody who has their own business, I suddenly thought, I'm strong. I'm strong enough to stand on my own no matter what anybody else around me is doing. And so that story has become almost like my touchstone, the proof that I have got what it takes to set out to do what I want to do, no matter what. So what I want you to do now is start to begin to think of one of those stories. One of those stories that you're constantly telling, a story that, say, ends in failure, or a story that ends in rejection, or a story that simply ends in a way that you wished it hadn't. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 2 minutes, I want you to think of the story that you keep telling over and over that you wished had a different ending, so that that story is the most incredible story that there ever was. We're taking an old story and we're rewriting it so it's the most incredible story that there ever was. 2 minutes, off you go. That was a really interesting one for me because this is an exercise that I haven't done before in this particular way. So I didn't know what was going to come up. And I discovered that the role for me as a writer is the role of a leader, where I understand that I have an ability to, and I put here, to express the universally unexpressible. I was really able to understand my own conflicts and blocks in a way that I haven't been able to before. So wishing you all the best for the week ahead, and I can't wait to see you next week to begin to uncover more and more insights and help you to become the writer that you dream of being. I'll see you then.